Okay, welcome back to Readings and Commentary with Insane Sam. These are readings from history, philosophy, poetry, literature, just anything in the written word that I like that I think you might like. And this week we're having a lot of fun with Richard Nixon's satire, and it's coming from a satirist named Art Buchwald, who wrote satirical columns for the Washington Post for decades, but he was especially funny during Watergate and during the Vietnam War. And this is one of his Watergate ones. So I'm going to give you a quick history lesson before I read the satire so you know what I'm talking about, because all this happened, 50 years ago. So Richard Nixon was president, and he got caught up in a thing called the Watergate scandal, which involved a bunch of his subordinates breaking into the Watergate Hotel, into the Democratic National Committee headquarters to sabotage the place and bug the place is what they were going to do. The problem is they got caught. And Nixon's defense was, hey, I didn't know anything about it. It was my subordinates who did it. And the two big subordinates were a guy named John Ehrlichman and a guy named H.R. Haldeman. They were the innermost circle of Nixon's guys. And they went before Congress and testified, and they lied about everything. But the problem is John Dean, the president's in-house counsel, came out. He's like the Joe Valachi of the Nixon White House. He ratted everybody out in front of congressional testimony and basically said that Nixon knew everything about it. And so there was a big debate about what did Nixon know, when did he know it. That's when John Ehrlichman said in the congressional testimony, what did Nixon know and when did he know it? So I think you're going to find some parallels between what was going on there and what was going on with our previous president. So I'm going to pull it out of this book. It's got small type, so I hope I can read it okay, but I think you're going to like this. It's called Democrats for Ehrlichman. My friend Cotswold, who was a Democrat for Nixon, seemed very depressed when I found him in a bar during the Watergate hearings. I asked him what the problem was. I've been watching the hearings all week, he said, and it's got me down. Don't worry, I said, trying to cheer him up. It's John Dean's word against the president's. It's still quite possible that Nixon had nothing to do with Watergate or the cover-up. That's just the point, Cotswold said. Suppose Nixon didn't have anything to do with Watergate. The White House defense is that Nixon didn't know anything about anything. The whole country was being run by Haldeman and Ehrlichman. Wouldn't that depress you? Well, it wouldn't make me happy, I admitted. I didn't vote for Haldeman and Ehrlichman, Cotswold said bitterly. I voted for Nixon. If I'd known he was going to turn over the presidency of the country to two flunkies, I sure as hell would have thought twice about it. But President Nixon had the final say on all their decisions, I pointed out. We don't know that. From what we've heard, Ehrlichman and Haldeman gave orders to the Justice Department, the FBI, the CIA, the State Department, and everybody else. Everyone in the White House except John Dean says the president had no idea what anybody was doing. If we believe this, it means Ehrlichman and Haldeman were running the show. That's a frightening thought, much worse than having the president implicated in Watergate. But, I protested, the president can't do everything himself. He has to have aides to carry out his orders. Damn it, said Cotswold. If they carried out the president's orders, it means the president knew what was going on. If they did it on their own, it means I was a Democrat for Haldeman and Ehrlichman. That's a terrible thing for any man to live with. But Haldeman and Ehrlichman may have been acting on their own, just in regard to Watergate, I said. The rest of the time, they may have been acting on the orders from the president. How do we know that? All the testimony indicates no one ever got in to see the president. We don't even know if the president was there half the time. The only thing Nixon read was Pat Buchanan's resume of the news every morning, and every White House staffer, cabinet officer, Nixon appointee, they all reported to Haldeman and Ehrlichman. When Haldeman and Ehrlichman gave the orders, they said they were speaking for the president. But all the proof so far is they did everything they darn well pleased. I was getting a little exasperated. Well, what's your solution to the problem? I think the next election we should have a right to vote for the president's aides as well as for the president. If the country is going to be handed over to Haldeman, Ehrlichman, Charles Colson, and John Dean, the American people should know about it in advance. That makes sense, I admitted. And I believe they should be sworn in at the same time as the president. If the president swears to uphold the Constitution, his people should swear to it too. Then if they screw up, we can impeach them all in a big package deal. Sounds a little bit like a president with an auto pen, doesn't it? It's a little different in Biden's case because he's claiming he did everything, but everybody around him, the whole country saw he wasn't doing anything. And so maybe we should get to vote for the auto pen or the people who are running the auto pen. Well, that's it for the reading today. I hope you enjoyed it. Do me a favor, Press subscribe, get your friends to subscribe, and with that, Insane Sam out.